We go. Morning, how you going?
Good morning, Gav. I'm going well. How are you?
Good. We've got H having a well-deserved holiday today, so a couple of different faces, but same old thing. The market sort of bounced a little bit this morning while we're waiting for Trump's big speech.
Yeah, nice to see a bit of green on the screen. I think we ended March down about 7% or just over 7%. So it's been a really solid pullback. But yeah, nice to see some green.
Yeah, I totally agree. Some really nice moves yesterday, particularly in gold, which interesting, and they were up again this morning. So yeah, we'll see what happens after lunch. We could be in for a bit of a volatile session after lunch, but yeah, so far so good.
Yeah, Brent Crude, I think it topped out around 115. Might have been Monday night our time. It's back around $100, down 2% overnight. So there's some hope there that things are wrapping up in the Middle East. Interesting, I saw the Russian oil price was actually up 6% last night. So
Really?
yeah, lots happening in that market still.
Yeah, I think the volatility in oil is going to be hanging around for a little while. I think
Yeah,
regardless of what Trump does, I mean, it's America might be fine, but Europe and Asia and those countries are going to be in for a bit of pain for a while yet. So we'll just have to
yeah,
see how it all plays out.
yeah, agree.
Yeah. Well, I've got a few slides here, so I'll hit the share button and we can go through a couple of trade ideas. I'll just set this up and away we go. So first one there, I've got up there's Worley slides.
Oh, beautiful. So staying in that energy sector, Worley's obviously in energy infrastructure, and you can see there on the chart, it's come back a long way from where it was trading last year. It was around that 13 to 15 bracket for most of last year, and they missed some of their earnings. So they've come back to around $11. My thesis on Worley is pretty top down, and it's really coming from this crisis in the Middle East and what we're seeing countries do, and really shining the spotlight on that energy independence and likely increase in energy capex globally. So Worley, they provide energy infrastructure, so LNG terminals, pipelines, renewables, and refineries. So I think any tick up in energy capex globally, and they're going to benefit really well. So as a trade idea, if you wanted to look at it, you could sell some $11 puts for May for around 32 cents. I think that's around 3% return for that one. Or just jump in and buy the stock. I do really like it for a rebound. I think it's going to get some momentum back here. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Even this
happy with that
morning,
one.
even this morning, the Queensland government's talking up drilling again. So, even within Australia, they could see a tick up what happens here, let alone what happens internationally.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just going to be a great kind of second and third order flow on from this conflict in the Middle
Yeah,
East.
really nice one. And the second one we had there was a gold stock.
Yeah, I've really liked the sector for a while. We got pretty active in Northern Star last week. So it really got hit when the war started, as a bit of a funding trade, I think. As the rest of the market pulled back, I think Northern Star and gold got sold off with it, as I think fund managers probably look to cover a few holes in their portfolios. That
Yeah,
tends to happen. But in this macro environment with inflation likely to stay sticky, growth is going to be near zero, if not negative. I think moving forward in that sort of environment, I think gold's going to continue to do well. So it's probably more of a buy the dip type trade than jump in today and sell the puts. I think gold will still be volatile, so you can probably afford to wait to see a little bit of red on screen to look to sell some puts, or just buy the stock on a dip. So yeah, that's my view on that one.
they announced a massive buyback today as well.
Yep, more reason probably just to wait a couple of days and see how we go and try and get set on a red day.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I might throw up BHP there. Last week, Hayden and I spoke about actually selling puts in BHP. And since that time, it's actually run, nearly $4 odd since he's done that. I think depending on if you where you bought it at, you could actually nearly consider starting to sell calls in it again. I think over the longer term, materials might struggle in a stagflation type environment, higher interest rates, China sort of not quite stagnant, but not really growing in a rush. It's pretty much up there. I think depending on where you bought in, you could certainly consider selling some calls here. I sold some yesterday at the 53s for this month, which has only got a couple of weeks to go on it for $1.20 a share. So there's quite a bit of premium in it. One to consider, but depends on where you bought it and what the rest of your portfolio looks like.
It's really a copper play now as well, isn't it, Gav? Like you
Yeah.
see where it topped out there. That was where the capex and spend on data centers was. It seemed like it was just going nuts and wasn't going to slow down at all. But I think it comes back to this conflict in the Middle East where a lot of that funding was coming from,
Yeah.
and with all this stuff happening, cost of capital is going to go up. So I think that's probably slowed down this process again. So I really like that one as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think also given its dividend yield's pretty ordinary at this sort of rate as well. So, there's plenty of other stocks out there that you have better earnings growth potential than BHP at the moment as well. So again, it depends where you bought it, and if you sold the puts last week on the back of that idea, you're sitting pretty with that income on those puts at the moment. So yeah, not a bad one.
Definitely.
Well,
All right,
thanks for
mate.
your time, Zach, and we'll talk again soon.
Have a nice Easter.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Cheers.